are they really all about the effects? Are they really about the plot, or are they about the film stars? Andy Gibbons is a film journalist. Morning, Andy.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
I'm very well. What do you think about that? Are there big stars? Are they all Mel Gibson? Are they all disappearing now?
I think Mel Gibson's probably a bad name.
Yeah, sorry.
Right
As I said it, I thought,
certainly, I mean, there are certainly still a raft of big names who, when you see their name attached to a movie, it will perk the public's interest. People, Johnny Depp, Robert Downey Jr., Leonardo DiCaprio, George Clooney, Matt Damon. I mean, it's very strong for the men. For the ladies, a little less so, maybe. Angelina Jolie. She's just had Soul open in America, which opened reasonably well. And to a lesser extent, even Tom Cruise is still pulling them in. But I agree. I think it's much more. I think the public these days are much more about the script and about the concept of the film as a whole.
Didn't I read somewhere that Tom Cruise's latest film with Cameron Diaz, didn't it actually the lowest grossing film he's made for years and years and years?
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. It hasn't had great reviews. I think Tom's having a bit of a slump career-wise at the moment. He's moving on to Mission Impossible 4 after this. So I think he just sort of needs to find his mojo again. He certainly, he's had a great time in the past. He's done a few smaller films, things like Magnolia, which he got great reviews for. And I think if he went back to making more independent, smaller, better scripted movies, then I think he could sort of regain his place.
Do you know, I thought his best performance was in that Tropic Thunder. Have you seen that, where he plays the film producer?
The character in that, Les Grossman. I mean, there's talk. It looks like they are doing a spin-off movie just based on that character.
Brilliant.
Well, I don't know whether or not the gag will hold up for 100 minutes. Yes. I mean, it was great in short little bursts in the film of him sending himself. He appeared at, I think it was the MTV Movie Awards as well, dancing with J-Lo. In that character, but whether or not he will hold up for an entire film, I think remains to be seen.
Oh, you're a tough act, you lot. what do we make though of? I mean, James Cameron deliberately went out when he made Avatar. He said, "I'm not going to use any famous people." Okay, you could argue Sigourney Weaver might be a standout from that, but generally he says, the star of this film is the special effects, the CGI. You look at Toy Story, sort of almost faultless film, I thought, in my opinion, the other day. You look at Inception. You look at some of these films now that are using the plot, which is using the special effects. They are the stars now, or are we still looking at box office players to sell movis?
I genuinely think it's sort of 6 one, half a dozen the other. I think if the script is there and it's a good story that draws people in, you can have the greatest effects in the world with it. But if the plot is there and that draws people in, that will sell it. People want to go and see big, dumb action movies like The Expendables. It's great fun. Okay, there's no plot to speak of, but, it's a good bit of, you get to turn your brain off as you go into the cinema. I don't think it's going to, set the box office alight. It's not going to do anything near as much as Inception has done, or Toy Story 3, or even Shrek, or the latest Twilight movie. I mean, they've all earned a lot of money. But I think it's all about the plot. I think that's what's grabbing people's attention these days. Not necessarily the people who are in the film, or even the concepts behind it. I think 3D is great as a gimmick. I'm not particularly sold on it at the moment. I think James Cameron did it very well in Avatar. In other films, it hasn't worked so well, and I think it's starting to get found out slightly now.
How do you think Sylvester Stallone sold the idea of this movie to the executives in Hollywood?
I think a lot of the executives in Hollywood are probably grew up with Sylvester Stallone and sort of grew up with the films he made in it. I mean, you've got to remember, Rocky was 1976. This was 34 years ago. This man has been going a long time. In that time, there's been Rambo, there's been your Rockies, all the other things he did in between, the personal favourite, Over the Top. Stallone is a legend, and when he starts throwing around names like Dolph Lundgren, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, all the fanboys that are working in Hollywood that grew up in these movies must have just gone, brilliant, here's X amount of money, don't go over that, it'll bring the cash in. I've seen the film. If Jeremy Clarkson made movies, this is the kind of movie he would make. And I think it'll do well.
That's a good tagline, isn't it?
I think it'll do well at box, but I think it'll have a better life on DVD.
Really? Best film you've seen so far in the last, I don't know, 6 months?
Toy Story 3.
Isn't it? Do you know, I'm thinking that. I watched it the other day with my 10-year-old, and I was thinking, I couldn't think of anything that was wrong with it.
And again, I mean,
it's perfect.
It's because Pixar, the guys at Pixar, spend so much time on this. They spent 4 years writing this film.
Oh,
they go over things with a fine-tooth comb. And I loved it. You know, I'll happily admit I'm 36 and I cried like a little girl.
Which bit did you cry at? Because there's two bits, and some of my friends cried at one bit, and someone's cried. I found the boys cried at one bit, and the girls cried at another bit.
But I don't. It's spoilers, isn't it? I cried right at the very end. Let's just say, as the toys are getting a new life, and a certain car is driving off.
No, you cried at the girl bit.
No. You
cried at the girl bit.
No, come on. The amount that we've invested with these characters in the last 15 years, you're seeing their relationship with Andy end. Which bit did you cry at?
The fiery pit, man. You should be crying at. That's the boy cry bit. The girl cry bit's when he. Oh, I'm
I don't think at any point I
disappointed
sat there thinking they're going to let these characters get destroyed. I don't think I bought into that, but for me, the real emotional core of that film is Woody's relationship with Andy.
No 17-year-old boy would go to college with a toy.
Really?
It wouldn't happen. No, you don't.
Have you got any toys left from your childhood?
No.
I think that says more about you than it does about me, Ian.
You have. Have you got a toy?
I might have one or two things tucked away. I think a lot of people have come back from these films.
What have you got?
I don't want to go into details.
What have you got? You're 36.
There might be a teddy. But I think a lot of people, and I've heard stories of people coming home from
teddy?
People have come home from this film and they've gone up to their attics and they've opened the boxes and they've taken their toys out. This is people reconnecting with their childhood.
But would you have taken it to university with you?
No.
Right, well that's...
But Woody's not a teddy.
And would you have taken a wooden cowboy with you to university?
I don't think he's one. I think he's fabric. But, I mean, come on, you know...
Whatever!
Woody, you know, they make the point in the first one, Woody was always there for Andy. That was the whole remit, was to be there whenever Andy needed him.
Oh, dear. Outed.
Well, yeah, you know, I have no shame. I sit in a dark room and watch movies.
You cried at the wrong bit.
No, I cried at the right bit, and I think a lot of listeners will agree with me.
Right, tomorrow night, we're gonna carry this on with other people. Which bit did you cry at? Because you cried at the wrong bit.
Okay, then which bit of Up did you cry at?
I haven't even seen Up.
Okay, see Up tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll talk tomorrow, and then tell me which bit you cried at.
Okay, I'll get the DVD out and watch Up tomorrow. Because that's good. Because I was going to be bored tomorrow. 8 minutes to 1 o'clock. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, now for centuries,